financial company, banking, insurance, but we specifically have academy specific products for your mids and for cadets. So I'm going to go ahead and put up on chat a special phone number that's specifically for midshipmen and cadets, so you don't have to go through the wait at the regular line. These guys understand what cadets and midshipmen are. They don't ask you a million questions about you being a soldier or whatever. So use that. It's really for membership, which is free, and banking products. For insurance, you'll have to go to the regular number, USA.com. But for our specific products, how many USAA members do we have out there? You know, see a show of hands? Okay, a lot. So for the parents, if you call USAA, they're not going to do it automatically. Call us and call the regular 1-800 number and tell them that you're a USAA member, you have a midshipman going at the academy, and make them a non-operator, and that'll save you money on your insurance. So first thing you can do is to save yourself some money is that. And then we also have what we call Academy Personal Property Insurance for midshipmen. Covers rings, computers, uniforms. There was a story last night. I did Hampton Roads Parents Club, and the Blue and Gold officer had a story about USA covering his son's uniforms. I think he lost a shoe while he was on cruise, and we covered it. So just less than $5 a month, so it's really a no-brainer. Once you graduate, it'll cost a little more. I think that's how we get you, but take advantage of it now. And then also, of course, we have checking, free checking, so you can call about that if you're interested. We do a lot for the academy. I work in Annapolis. We have a financial center there. It's right outside the Berry Gate. It's not open now due to COVID, but you can really do most of your stuff online or through the phone. And we have loans that we give out to second class. We have we do tailgates and give away silver dollar salute coins to the first class. So anyway, we do a lot of things for the mids. We try to promote their financial security, and I think that's it. I would say we're normally at I-Day handing out proud parent bags of a midshipman. I'm not going to be there because of COVID, but we're going to give those to the Alumni Association. So if you drop off your mid, be sure to get one of those on us. So congratulations again. If you have any questions, I'll leave my number up, and Keith can leave his number or email. And best of luck to you all. I'll stay on for a little while in case there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul and Keith. With that, I'd like to talk just for a few minutes about the club. Ellen and I will move through this quickly and get to the sort of the meat of the matter of what to expect with Plebe Summer and so on. So these clubs, these parent clubs, exist all around the United States, and they are an arm or sponsored by the U.S. Naval Academy Alumni Association. And they really serve, as Captain Ripley referred to earlier, as an important information source and a way to kind of plug in with the Naval Academy family. And as Ellen mentioned, she and I had no prior connection with the Navy, the Naval Academy, or anything until our daughter got to Annapolis. And we have really found the club to be an invaluable source of information and support, and also a lot of fun. You know, basically, we are a group of parents who are on this journey together. I know some of you are in the military or have military backgrounds, others do not. But you know, it's a pretty unique experience. It's not just college, like the shirts that you can buy at the mid store say. And so the club is really an invaluable way to, as I said, sort of plug into the Naval Academy family and the broader naval family. We are, as Ellen mentioned, volunteer driven. We are constantly turning over by its nature. The membership of this club is not static, and people don't remain in it typically after their son or daughter leaves the Naval Academy. So we're always looking to rejuvenate our leadership and our activities with the support of newly involved parents. And we'll be asking some of you to help us out in various ways, and hoping that you'll do that. We do a number of events throughout the year, and one of the most important one is this welcome aboard picnic, such as it is. We really regret that due to the coronavirus circumstances, we're having to do this virtually. We're glad that Virginia opened to phase 2, and we're able to do the broader group with the live with the incoming plebes. But so this is always an important event that we have to bring people into the fold, answer their questions, and so on at a very important and somewhat anxious time for the plebes and their families. We also typically do on induction day, when it's a normal I day, and we participate in the expo. There typically is a large expo out on Hospital Point, and we participate there by providing information and some goodies from the club, and welcome people from the Northern Virginia area. We have done a number of years a plebe summer event, and get out your pen and pencil or pull out your phone or whatever, because we do have a live event planned, so that we can all meet each other in person. That's going to be on July 18. July 18, it will be at Algonquian Park in Sterling, and it will be from 4 to 6:30. We will be sending out more information about this, but July 18, Algonquian Park, 4 to 6:30. We're going to be doing a live social event. At that point, your sons and daughters will be about 2+ weeks into plebe summer, and you're going to probably have as many questions then as you do now, and it would be a great time to just network, talk to folks who've been there, and you know, have your questions answered, and get more information about what's going on. Another event that we do is we typically do this on I Day. This year it's going to be done on Oath Day, when your sons and daughters take their oath, which is going to be on July 17th. They will be doing that in Annapolis. So we will be meeting the next day at Algonquian Park. On July 17th, we will be having flags flown at the Navy Memorial in downtown Washington, a flag for each of the plebes who take their oath that day. And then about 4 years later, when they are first class midshipmen in the spring of that midshipman year, we have what's called our firstie dinner, a dinner that celebrates the accomplishment of the first class midshipmen who are about to graduate and commission. And the flags that were flown back on this oath day will be presented to the first class midshipmen at that time. So that's something we do every year. We also typically have a football game tailgate at the opening or one of the early football games. There's still some uncertainty about the football schedule, so we don't have details on that yet. We also typically have another social event during one of the big football games. It's usually the Air Force game or the Notre Dame game. It wouldn't be the Notre Dame game this year because that one's coming very early. But we will be having another social event to gather at someone's home or perhaps a restaurant. It varies from year to year, and root the mids on to victory. Another very popular event that we do each, usually in February, late January, early February. We call it our Dark Ages Packages event. And we gather at someone's home. We put together boxes of goodies, foodstuffs and gift cards and so on for all of the midshipmen who are in the club. And that typically amounts to close to 100 mids with all 4 years represented. So we all get together. We have a nice sort of potluck luncheon, and we bring our goodies and put in these boxes and then seal them up, and off they go to Annapolis, and they're distributed, a box to each midshipman member whose whose family is a member of the club. So that's just a quick overview of our events and what we do. And I think most of all, we're an opportunity to network and learn. Ellen has put up a link, I think, to a URL that you can go to join the club and to pay your dues. The dues for a 4-year membership are $150. There are memberships for lesser years. Frankly, just about everybody does the 4-year membership. And with the 4-year membership, you get this nice tote bag that has the medallion or the symbol of our club. So we would really encourage everybody to join the club. You get that nice little perk, and I think it's really $150 very well spent. And all of the things that I talked about are funded by those club dues. We don't, charge. Well, the first dinner there is an additional charge for, but even that, the costs of that are partially underwritten by the dues money. So we really encourage everyone to join. Ellen, I'm going to let you jump in here with maybe additional information about the links that you've posted, and then moving on to information from the Commandant's briefing.
Sure. Well, I did send the link already through the Zoom group chat for the registration page. I actually had not meant to send it when I did, but I was testing it out to see how it worked, and I hit enter, and I guess that's how you use it. So that's already up there. I hope you can see it. You can just click on that link. Takes you to a site where you can fill out the membership form if you haven't done that already, and pay your dues with a credit card online. There's also the option of going to our website, and I'm going to click on that one right now and send that out. If you go to the website, you can find resources there where you can print the form and you can mail the check. If you don't feel comfortable doing it online, you can do it that way as well. And that's all on our website. I'm also going to send out a link to our Facebook group page, which is a great resource. It's a closed group. It's really just to limit it to parents. I get a lot of requests for vendors to join the group, and we limit it to not allow vendors, just so that we're all not inundated with people trying to sell us stuff. It's really a forum for parents to be able to share information. So, I hope that you all try to join that group, send me a message or whatever if you haven't done so already. And if you have recommended other people to join, when you do that, just tell them they need to answer the questions, because I get a lot of, if you've ever administered a group, you get a lot of very random people who want to join groups. So we have a few questions on there, like, are you a parent of a mid? If so, what year, what company, very basic questions. But that just lets us know that this is a real person who actually has a connection with a kid at the Naval Academy. So I hope that you can see those links. We will also be putting those in the next newsletter that we send out. The 2 ways we communicate are the Facebook page and essentially monthly emails that go out through the class reps. And the information that we share is information generally that we get through the Alumni Association at the Naval Academy. So we get, official information that we pass along. And then the second thing that we're passing out information on is our club activities. So the benefit of the club is that we do have the pipeline of information from the Naval Academy. And so even though we've all now had, those of us who have mids already have experience, there's nothing like hearing it from the horse's mouth. And this week we had a town hall, Mark and I attended through Zoom, with the Commandant. And it was about plebe summer, and, he gave us the most current information about that. I will say up front, there's still a lot of stuff that's up in the air. But just to go over a few of those details before we open up to questions. As the one thing that hasn't changed this year is that your kids don't have to bring anything to plebe summer. Just, comfortable clothes for I-Day and possibly their running shoes if they want, their particular running shoes, because they will be doing that. But the Naval Academy provides absolutely everything. So they can come in empty-handed. It's a very strange feeling compared to everybody else who goes off to college with the cartload of stuff. But our kids show up with nothing, and they are provided everything. This year, there's a change with respect to haircuts. This went out in information that you probably already got, but just to highlight it, because it's always a big thing, the mids should get their hair cut before they show up. So for the young men, that means they need to have a shaved head with 1/8 of an inch of hair. And I have no experience in this, but what I'm told is it's number 1 guard length, but in any event, a shaved head, 1/8 of an inch. The women have it much better. They are encouraged to either have chin length haircut or the hair that can be put in a bun that meets the Naval Academy standards. If you don't know what those are, if you have questions, I am going to also send out a link to a web page that has examples of appropriate women's haircuts, both haircuts and how the bun has to look. I know when our daughter went, she, had the really long hair and she got it cut off to her chin. Part of that is, they're going to be rushing around, going from one thing to another. They don't have a lot of time to get ready. So having the short hair is good. Also, if they have hair that is easily put up into a bun, that's another option. But what they don't want to have is hair that takes a lot of time to get it neatly into a bun, because that's just going to, make it very difficult for them. They also need to bring a mask for in-processing. Now, if they don't have one, one will be provided, but it's suggested for them to bring their own mask because everyone will have to be wearing one. When they show up, they should have eaten a good breakfast. It's a long day. They'll later on be provided with some water and snacks, but make sure they have a good breakfast before they go. The parents, this year is different because of COVID. You'll be able to drive your sons and daughters onto the yard and drop them off at Alumni Hall. But then the Naval Academy is asking that parents don't congregate and that they exit the yard. The Commandant did say that they're working on trying to come up with some meaningful forums for parents, maybe small groups where the Commandant and the Superintendent will give a presentation. They didn't have the details for how that's going to work yet, but they are trying to come up with something. So that's a big change for parents. And then your kids will not be taking the oath that day. As Mark mentioned, that's going to be July 17th. They are working on getting something like a live stream for that event so that parents can watch it. Now, I'm sure y'all have a big question about COVID testing. Everyone will be tested when they arrive. It will be part of the induction process. Then each and every one of them, and this includes all the incoming plebes, but also our sons and daughters who are working at plebe summer as trainers. After being tested, they're all going to be on restriction of movement for 14 days. And they're going to be 2 to a room in Bancroft Hall. And they will be given, the plebes will have trainings over the internet through Zoom, lots of briefs, and that's going to be what they'll mainly be doing. I think they're going to be allowed out of their rooms for running. And these restriction of movement for 14 days, it's a DOD requirement. So the Naval Academy is following those protocols. If anyone's test comes back positive, and the tests are not the kind that are immediately available to have the results, so it's going to take a couple of days. But if anybody has a positive test, they will be put into a different area of Bancroft. It will be a staffed area of the dorm, and it will be, in effect, then they will be more in isolation, but with supervision. It's not like they're going to be stuck in a room and left by themselves. There is no intent to send anyone home if they get a positive COVID test. The intent is to keep people there, have them isolate. If they develop symptoms, they would be treated appropriately. You know, heaven forbid there's any need to send someone to a hospital, but, you know, they're going to be on top of all that. But the idea is to be able to keep the mids there so that they can participate. After the 14-day restriction of movement period, everyone will be tested again before the regular training starts. And the regular training, it still probably will not look like it did in years past. So if you went to the Naval Academy and you remember your plebe summer, for your son or daughter, it's probably going to look different than that. It's going to be a shorter period. It will be 4 weeks, but they're going to try to keep it as true to history as possible, given the unique circumstances under which everybody is operating this summer. And, you know, keep in mind the Naval Academy, it has DoD restrictions, it has Maryland restrictions, and local county restrictions. So they're trying to work within all of those parameters to carry out plebe summer. It's, you know, a very important mission for the Naval Academy, and they're going to do their best. So there will be some structural changes. They're going to try to work within companies. So in the past, you know, you have 1,200 students coming in, and there's a lot of activities where everybody did together as 1,200. That won't be happening this year. Everything's going to be more on the company basis. So the smaller groups, they won't be socializing or doing things outside of those groups to limit the amount of contact that people have with one another. They'll also be following protocols with, you know, trying to maintain the 6 feet of different distance and the, you know, all of those kinds of restrictions. And the commandant did mention that, you know, they have the benefit there of being able to have conduct actions for kids who don't, you know, who won't wear a mask or something like that. So they're going to be able to, you know, make sure that these kids follow these guidelines. The parents' weekend, it's currently on the calendar, but the commandant did tell us that it's still up in the air as to whether they will be able to hold Parents' Weekend in Annapolis. And so he said that they will be making a decision on that by the 2nd week of July. So, you know, we all just have to remain patient. There's a lot of unknowns. Similarly, you know, for those of us who have returning students, you know, they hope to resume live classes in the fall, but even that has not been, you know, chiseled in stone yet. So we all have to remain sort of flexible. But those are the changes that they do know about, and I hope that gives you a little bit more, you know, concept of what your sons and daughters are going to find when they get to Annapolis for plebe summer. So at this point, I just wanted to see if Tony's still on. Tony is our class of 2023 rep, and she had put together some great points from, you know, plebe no more parent to incoming plebe parents. So Tony, if you're still on and you can just give us a few highlights from that, that would be great.
Sure. I know it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like 100 years ago that I was anxiously waiting for the picnic, and it finally got here. So I understand everyone's anxiety and excitement in the same time. Facebook is the source of most of my information in keeping me sane over plebe summer. If you're not on Facebook, find someone who is and will share information with you, or create a fake name account, because there are class of 2024 blind leading the blind groups where all your questions can be answered, and it's just a safe place to ask what you might consider a stupid question. I posed a question in our class of 2023. What is your top advice to give plebe parents for this summer in class of 2024? And the number one thing was the parent motto of Semper Gumby. And that means you need to always be flexible, because you think you've got it planned, you think you know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden, change. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that day. It doesn't happen ever. You just don't know. And I think we all in our lives these days are living Semper Gumby lives with COVID-19. Fortunately, we are somewhat local to the yard, and when the day gets changed for us, it's not as hard as those people who live in Alaska or overseas. So that was the number one piece of advice, Semper Gumby. Ellen, did we send this out to everyone? Do you know?
It is it's posted on our Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me also add that is a copy of that. All of the incoming plebes will have received a packet of hard copy information at the event at the Casey's home. It's got general information about the club, and it's got the membership form if you want to do it all by paper. And it also has a copy of the piece you put together, Tony. So
Okay,
make sure you
good.
get that from your kids.
The second thing is, where's Waldo? That is, do you remember the books where you look for the little guy Waldo and he looked like all the same pictures? Well, that's what you do during plebe summer, during traditional plebe summer. Thornton Studios is a private studio. He would go and take pictures and post them. You would pay the fee to join his group. Alumni Association has a phenomenal group of photographers as well. You join, you have free access to all of those. I don't know what this summer's photo situation will be like, but it's a lot of fun to play Where's Your Plebe? And I mean, I got so good I could pick my kid out by his ear or his pinky. You know, it's a lot of fun to find pictures. And you know what they're doing also, because you do, oh, he went there. This picture was probably taken 2 days ago. So you have an idea, as opposed to being completely in the dark. The third thing was how to properly address a package or an envelope. I had a package that was properly addressed still get lost, but you need to pay very close attention, and or it might not get there. Your yard bag, tied stain pins are your friend. Order them now, they get sold out. I also had in our yard bag one of these blankets that I think the New Jersey Club does it as a fundraiser, and it has the Naval Academy, but it's got fleece on the inside and vinyl on the other side, because you don't want your summer whites to get stained when you're sitting on the yard with your plebe. It really is true for the military families that your mid is my mid, and it's amazing in all the Facebook groups how people post, my mid is having to travel to California from Virginia. Is there anyone along the way that would house him? And 52 comments of people along the way willing to put your kid up sight unseen, just knowing that we all stick together and help each other out. So that is really wonderful. And since we are local, be prepared to have a lot of plebes come to your home. You might also get their laundry. Or, hey, you'll be lucky like me, and I just got my son's friend's laundry and when he went home. Sponsor families are a wonderful thing for a lot of mids. And we signed up. We did not have the best experience, but my son just tagged along with someone else who had a wonderful sponsor family. And I think it's something that you should encourage your son to do, or daughter, if they become ill and you need someone to help him, they are more local than we are. The next two on the list are very funny. Your mid will inform you. Let them take the lead. Let them go, as in do not hover. Let them figure it out for themselves. Let me restate that first one. Your mid will inform you. Then the next one says, your mid will not tell you enough for you to feel informed. And that is so true. You know, especially if you have a son who probably won't tell you much of anything, that's when you go rely on the Facebook group. And the moms of plebe daughters or mid daughters will tell you the information. And no matter what, we're never going to be as informed as we were when we got the weekly letters from our elementary school teachers. It just isn't going to happen. The phone calls over plebe summer, 30 minutes is like that. And you'll hang up and go, oh, I forgot to ask. So make a list and record them. And have a plan. And sometimes if my son wasn't this way, but other plebes I heard they were just very sad and didn't want to stay or were upset, and just listen. That moment in time was probably over by the time you hung up the phone, because they just needed to get it off their chests. Just be a good sounding board. And we can't fix it. They have to fix it. They do need money. I found that perplexing, why my debit card kept getting hit. But they order food and it gets delivered to gate 1. And they order a lot of food. Packages, you can send packages. Make sure you address them properly. And there are a lot of plebes who do not have the ability to get packages. Their families overseas or whatever. You can send packages to the chaplain for people who might not get any, and they'll pass them out. My background is my son's before and after picture of plebe summer. The change is pretty amazing. His wasn't as drastic as some, but make sure you get a good picture of them at the start in their Dixie cup if you can, and then after. Their growth is unbelievable. When you're, some people needed to pick a new hobby to stay busy. My hobby was Where's Waldo and my other children. So if you need something to do, find to keep you busy and your mind off of what your child is enduring at plebe summer, find something fun to do. If possible, if you're allowed to go on the yard over the summer, I highly recommend going and watching the morning pep. Fridays is a lot of fun. It's their physical activity in the morning. I left here at 5 o'clock in the morning and was able to get on the yard because I have a military ID. And the amount of energy and fun and excitement that they have, even though it's an hour and a half of grueling workout, and so thankful I didn't have to do it, it really makes you see that they're not miserable because they're in their company and they're having a great time. And it just really gave me a boost to see my son laughing with his peers and having a good time. And it was proof of life. He was missing from pictures for a couple days. And just remember, they were chosen to go there for a reason, and they're going to do well, and you're never going to feel informed. Even to this day, I still don't feel informed, and he's living in the house. But they'll get through it, and if you do decide to go to PEP, hey, I'll drive with you. It was fun.
Do you know what time PEP generally is on Friday? We've got a question from a parent.
5:30, they start running out. 5:30 or 6. I'll have to look. I wrote it all up, and I have a map of where you should park and where you should stand and where the different activities are that I can give everyone also. I went a couple times. It was really a lot of fun, but it was really.
The one thing I'll note, there is a lot of planning still going on for plebe summer, and I don't know for sure whether the schedule will be the same this summer as it was in the past. So I would just say, before you plan to go over there, make sure you know what the schedule actually is.
Oh, absolutely. If they're not doing things as the whole brigade of,
right,
it's not going to be the same. And as a company-wide, you'll be more obvious for sure. And you certainly don't interact with them at all. You just act like you're a fly on the wall and observe.
So is that
You know, there are other ones on there. I am happy to answer any questions anybody might have privately. If you don't want to ask them now, feel free to send me an email. I'm more than happy to answer anything because I might have had the same question but didn't want to ask.
well, that's a good segue, and I know that people do have questions. Hopefully, we've answered some of those, but at this point, we'd like to open up the call to anyone who does have a question. You may need to unmute yourself so that we can hear you. And I'll just say, you know, it's an honor to be a parent of a midshipman. It's an incredible experience. It can be anxiety-inducing and hard at times. Those calls that you're going to have with your kids, you know, one call was we were on top of the mountain, and another call, it seemed like we were just, you know, down in the deepest valley. But you know, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. I would echo Tony in saying, let them do it. Your kids were selected for this because they're well equipped to do it. And I think the best thing you can do is provide them support when you're in communication with them, but let them do it. And the growth and change in them will be remarkable. It'll be remarkable in the course of plebe summer. And before you know it, you're going to be 3 or 4 years into this, and the difference in your kid is it's just incredible. They're going to get an unbelievable education about academics and life and leadership, and you're in for a great experience. With that, why don't we open it up to questions? And Tony or I or other members of the board or Ellen, whomever, will jump in and try to answer those questions. So anybody who's got a question, speak up.
Hi, this is Beth Ann Newton. I have a question about the kids staying with their company. Does that mean if they play a varsity sport like football or lacrosse, they won't have the usual sports period that they normally would have during summer, or do we not know yet?
Well, we don't know yet, but what the commandant said on Thursday about sports was that sports that have early competitions, like football, women's volleyball, and whatever else is, you know, fall sport, they are thinking about bringing those athletes back early. So then that would suggest to me that then the plebes, yes, would have those sports practices. But as of Thursday, that was still up in the air.
Just to add to that too, my son, his roommate, plebe year, was a football player. But typically I thought they didn't, he said he was with him and his other roommate for half the summer, and then they separated all the athletes out. I don't know if that will still apply.
I assume that would. I mean, the plebe summer is shortened this year. You know, the training itself is only 4 weeks, but I would expect it would be, you know, a similar thing where there would be, the athlete would be participating just like a plebe who's not an athlete for part of that time, and then going with the team for the second half to do the sports practices, if those sports practices happen. Beth, was that your question? I saw a hand raised. I guess that one.
That was me, sorry.
Okay, great. And you all can unmute yourselves, so, or
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I see in the list that they sent over from the Academy for the important information. One of the things I noticed was that mids should not bring electric razors to shave with. So do all mids have to, the boys, Do all the mids have to use cream and a razor to shave, or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
They all use a regular razor, and they will get this incredible collection of every kind of toiletry you can imagine. I mean, it's all, you literally, so I've heard it said you could show up naked and not need a thing, and it's really true. But you know, shaving supplies, dental floss, toothpaste, toothbrush, it will all be provided for them, but no electric razors.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, other question. What about, since we're dropping the kids off at the Alumni Hall, and if you want to write them, they say you need to get their company, the platoon. How do we get that information?
Well, that was discussed on Thursday's call, and they said either it would be included in information that was given to you before you drop them off. I mean, traditionally, we have parents got information on the company. If you haven't gotten that already, it may be possible that they're not distributing it. I don't know. But the first order of business for the plebes, we were told, will be to write a letter home that includes their address. But like I said, traditionally it was included in the stuff that was sent out to families before I-Day. But like I said, if you haven't gotten that yet, maybe that just didn't happen this year.
Okay. Has anyone gotten anything? I'm just curious. Okay.
They really do give you everything you need. I was very worried about sunscreen, and they made them carry their sunscreen around everywhere, and they had to reapply it, and there was no way that they could get burned. And actually, I think they had to do, like, write something if they did get sunburned. And in the pictures, you'll see very few sunburned people. But they get everything. And there is a store, if you haven't been to the mid store, there are a lot of things available to purchase at the mid store as far as personal care items and things like that they can find for themselves, and they do.
I see a question up in the chat box that says, can we send him with Tide pens, or do they have to be mailed? Can he keep 2 pens? And then a question, heard they confiscate protein bars when mailed. I can answer the second question, which is that it depends on the company. Our daughter's company was much more strict, and they would not allow any type of, junk food or, things with excess sugar kind of thing. But other companies are not strict in that. There are some bars that have hemp seeds that like Kind bars, I understand, that people are still saying, mids should not eat because that might show up in a urinalysis. That's not an official USNA thing. That's just sort of word of mouth. But in terms of the Tide pens, I would say mail those rather than have them carry them in, because I don't know whether they'll get to keep them or not, but just mail them since they're small.
I would take nothing with you, because they have to haul it around with them. And, if they want to take running shoes, have them wear them. And if your child had any kind of waiver issue, make sure that they have a copy of any of the documentation that might be needed again with them. Otherwise, it will delay their processing while you're there. And Jack said the Kind bars, just don't send them at all, because they totally got rid of any Kind bar, even if it didn't say hemp seed. So I would just not buy those.
To piggyback on that, the exchange system doesn't sell Kind bars. So it's not DoD policy, but the DoD exchanges won't even sell them. The other thing is, if I could just make one little suggestion. Once you have the address, even if it's if you get it I-Day, writing a letter right away just so they get it at the first mail call is a nice thing. Also, what some people did was they sent care packages during the summer, which is, you know, like don't send kind bars. But the other part of that is you can go to the post office and get boxes. You can buy a box that no matter what you put in it, you don't have to go through the whole weighing process at the post office and that kind of thing.
The flat rate box.
Flat rate boxes. And those tended to work best for us, just for what that's worth.
In Jack's first box, I added some self-addressed stamped envelopes so that all he had to do was write a letter and send it home. And they're required to write one letter by a certain date. Some families got an empty envelope.
I see there's a question up about cell phones. Their cell phones will be taken from them when they get there and kept in safekeeping. And then when it's time for them to be able to call home, their phones will be given to them to do that with.
But make sure they have a good case because they're all just together. So something a little more protective.
Yeah, and the same goes for any other personal property that they have. That's all going to be taken from them and stored. So really, you know, adhere to what we're saying about don't show up with a lot of stuff. The clothes on your back, take the running shoes because they're going to be running a lot. But everything else, just leave it behind.
For the
I'll get it back later eventually, but
make sure when you bring the cell phone that you have a charger with it, because they will set the night before the phone calls, they'll set up all the phones and charge them so that they have a working phone with a battery to call home. Compression shorts, they do get issued compression shorts. You can send more in your package. I think they got Under Armour ones issued.
And one thing about the phone calls, just if I could throw this in, is they give a window. They don't give a specific time. They give like a 4-hour window that your mid could call. And so you'll want to be sure. Like we were visiting relatives on a farm, and we made sure that we were for that entire period within cell phone range. And you want to be sure of that. And if you get a phone call from a number you don't recognize, go ahead and answer it, because if their phone did not get charged, they may have borrowed somebody else's. So don't think that, oh, I can't answer this call because I'm expecting a call. It might actually be your daughter or son doing the phone call.
And AT&T service on the yard is not very good, in my experience.
while we're waiting for questions, additional questions, I do just want to remind everybody that Ellen has put up in the chat function of the Zoom call here the links to our membership site, our regular web page, which, by the way, contains a lot of information on a regular basis. That's updated with the stuff that goes out via email, and then also our Facebook page. So make sure you get those links.
And I think, did I post also the video about the hair? Yes, I did. The link to the site with acceptable women's haircuts and buns and ponytails. I had not seen that before. It was a link in one of the communications from Naval Academy. It's pretty helpful. So the guys don't have a choice.
I will comment I'm not an expert on women's hair, but I have a wife and 2 daughters, but I will say that I know there's a lot of reluctance among the young women to get their hair cut short, but our daughter Lillian, and I've heard other female midshipmen say the same thing, said that having it short, just in terms of ease of dealing with it and, you know, being sweaty and having very little time to shower and wash your hair and all of that during plebe summer, it's most of the girls conclude that it's really, you know, a lot simpler to have the shorter hair. So your daughters will need to make their own decisions, but, and I mean, there are the guidelines, but It's helpful not to have a lot of hair to deal with.
How many daughters do we have? Quite a few. I will say from the pictures, the ones who had curly hair like I do, who went just chin length, it tended to look very big in the summer because they have no time to put any kind of product in it at all. So it just dried and got big, which I can understand.
But it grows. I see there are a couple of questions on the chat. And first, I don't know if Mark or Beth is there, but I see that you guys resent the link for the club registration. So I don't know, maybe I'd sent the wrong link out for that, but you scroll through and there's another link for the club registration posted by Mark Casey. And then there's a question from Sarah Parker. Tell us about the Army-Navy game, how that works, and whether we would get to spend any time with our plebe if we went to the game. Well, that's one of the most fun events. Try to buy your tickets as soon as possible. Pardon?
Just go to a home game.
Well, but the Army-Navy game is very fun. Let's face it.
But
in terms of getting to spend time with your mid, they will be, of course, with the brigade, but you will get to see them. They can come visit you. You can come visit visit their seat, or they can visit your seat. I think our daughter did get to spend the evening with us. And I think that depends on whether, some kids would get a, liberty depending on what happens, and others might not. But generally, I think you could plan to be able to spend some time with your son or daughter.
One thing, if I may, about Army Navy, tickets are hard to get. But they will always make them available at a point during plebe summer, and they will say, they're available until they sell out, kind of thing. So hurry on that. The other thing is, we last year, for the first time, went up on a bus from Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. We left at like 6:30 in the morning, and they got us back at 10 at night or something, 10:30. We watched the game. And we were able to tailgate in a heated area. And it was kind of rainy last year, so that was nice. So if you're going up and back on the same day, you'll see an email come out at some point, and I would just recommend considering that. It's not very expensive, and you're not driving all the way to Philadelphia, downtown Philadelphia, and then back. You're going as far as Annapolis, and the bus was fun. They played movies and played trivia games and served beverages for all ages. So.
The home games are a lot of fun because you can stand along the end zone where the plebes are. And when we score points and such, they run out and do their push-ups. And your plebe could possibly run by and give you a high five or whatever. And then they can meet you up by the bathrooms to visit also. That was a lot of fun, going to home games. And if you have littler kids, they slide down the hill and have a great time. And we bought, the first game, we bought tickets in the stands, and then we ended up standing at the end zone the whole time. So the next time we bought tickets just on the grass tickets, and it was so much fun.
There was a question from Laura Fogelsong about when the phone calls are. They usually are on Sunday afternoons. And always in the past, they have, before plebe summer starts or right at the beginning, they tell the parents when those calls are going to be, this Sunday between noon and 4 or whatever it is. So I would imagine that they will follow that same protocol this year, but watch for the communications you get from the Naval Academy, and they will be telling you. They are usually on Sunday afternoons. Are there other questions?
I have a odd question. So it was it's a little strange. I was recommended to me from another Navy mom that to get a mattress cover and a mattress pad for their mattresses to protect them from the bugs that may or may not be in their rooms. I didn't know if that was a good idea for plebe summer because Sarah was a little worried about the stuff being ripped off her bed and having to remake her bed, 3 times a day or whatever they have to do. So does anybody do that does anybody hear anything like that or recommend doing something like that?
I didn't hear of anybody having bed bugs.
No,
Really?
I've not heard of that before.
No.
I've also never heard of anyone taking a mattress cover or anything like that. I would be very, very surprised if they even allowed someone to do that. The other thing I'll say is that the commandant in the call Thursday night did stress that the degree of cleaning and sanitation that's going on in Bancroft Hall, in light of the coronavirus is like unparalleled. So I don't think there's going to be a need for that, and I really don't think they would allow it.
Thank you.
I definitely heard of them having to remake their beds multiple times in a day, so that part of it is probably accurate.
That part is definitely accurate.
And they switch rooms also, so whatever they have, they have to take and carry and haul to their next room. So they get very good at it, but more is more. My son wanted nothing to do with the mattress pad. He wanted nothing to do with the weighted blanket because a lot of kids wanted weighted blankets at Christmas. He's like, no, I don't want to have to move it. He wanted nothing extra.
I see there was a question, and I was trying to answer to everyone, but I didn't do it right. It says, how many times do they get to call during plebe summer? It's traditionally been 3 phone calls home.
And it's it seems like just enough too. They're gone, you see a picture or 2 of them and they're doing well, then they call and check in. And then you start to miss them again and then they call and check in. So it's timed very nicely.
Yep. So are there any other questions?
Thanks for having them at your house, Beth.
What's that?
I said, thanks for having them all at your house, Beth.
Oh yeah, and actually we might not have many questions, but they're going on 2 hours of Q&A here.
Wow.
And it's so great to have both the current mids and the sons and daughters of the incoming class here. I'm hearing so much laughter. They're getting along great, and it's a beautiful day outside. So we're all kind of inside on Zoom, but I think it's been a really great event, and I appreciate you all allowing your kids to come over and participate.
Thanks for hosting.
So this was Jack's cover for plebe summer. He didn't want to take it. It's kind of gross.
Do you have a question, Sarah?
Oh, I had a comment. With regards to plebe parent weekend, I really honestly think that it's going to happen. It may just be postponed. And the reason I say that is I can't imagine that they will be allowed to go to sponsor parents' houses, but not be allowed to see their families because they're putting themselves at risk going out into downtown Annapolis. And, if they've got the day to go out into downtown, they're exposing themselves anyway. So I'm thinking they'll maybe consider that because same thing with the sponsor families, they're putting themselves at risk going to the sponsor family's house.
Yeah, the commandant on Thursday said that sponsor family issues are still up in the air. They don't know that they're going to be doing that. And also liberty in going into the town of Annapolis is probably not going to be happening at least over the summer. So, they're working in a very difficult environment. They're trying to, their top priority is keeping the troops safe, basically keeping everybody safe. And they're working with all these protocols. But he did mention that, the sponsor family was all on hold and whether they would need to be doing COVID testing of sponsor families. So, it's all up in the air on that.
And in any event, during plebe summer, the plebes would not be going into town anyway.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. But even, yeah, and the detailers, you know, it's up in the air whether they will be allowed to leave the yard during plebe summer on any liberty basis, the ones that are training the plebes. So, and there are a couple more questions in the chat. And I just want to make sure that we do cover those all. The last one, did the commandant seem to lean one way or another with PPW or completely 50-50? I would say he was completely 50-50 on it. He said, basically, I'll quote, "There's still no decision as to whether there will be a plebe parents weekend. That decision will be made by the second week of July." So,
Laura, you had another question about whether they do move rooms during plebe summer, and the answer to that is yes.
Several times.
Yeah, now, at least in the past, it's possible that with these COVID protocols and the restructuring and everything, that may not be happening. I don't know, but it's frankly, it's been done as a kind of a form of hazing. To have them, you know, move all their stuff from one room to another and so on. But I don't know whether that'll happen this summer or not. Are there other questions?
I don't know if everyone is as fearful as I was about all the quote unquote hazing and everything. I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it. And it was very much a big relief for me. And he survived and he wanted to go back and he misses it. So, you know, you'll be here next year and going, whew, that wasn't as bad as I thought. And congratulations.
I should add a comment in case plebe parent weekend doesn't happen, just a suggestion. I know once the yard is open to the public, which I don't know if it will be this summer, but anytime they open it back up to the public, you guys can just go there and walk around. And it's pretty cool. You can look into the gyms, look into different areas, and you'll see just what some of the plebes are doing. You might not see your plebe, but you'll see others. Also, typically, I don't know if it'll happen around noon, they would have noon formation. That was pretty impressive. So I went a couple times, and we always went like around 11, just to see what we could see while we were at the yard. Just a suggestion, if it's open to the public, just go.
And you can also, by checking the Academy's website, you can find out what events are going on, and you can catch parades and that kind of thing. You just follow the public affairs website and see schedule of events, and the parades are fun to watch too.
So before we wrap this up, I just wanted to mention volunteer opportunities. This truly is just a group of parents who have kids at the Naval Academy getting together and doing things for each other and for their kids. So we welcome any and all volunteers. The club, it does have a couple of specific needs. Some of you, when you filled out your membership form, may have indicated that you were interested, and we will be reaching out to you directly, but everybody else, please, feel free to volunteer. Mark and I have been presidents for 2 years. We're looking to move on and retire from this because we've got other things, but we would stay on as vice president. So anybody who wants to serve as president, more than welcome, because you don't need any experience. This is a very sort of repetitive thing. We do the kind of the same events every year. So it's all kind of, ready to roll out, and we would be there holding your hands until you're ready to, do it yourselves. The club needs a secretary. That's someone who comes to the meetings, takes notes. And we also need a tailgate coordinator for our first tailgate of the season. So if any of those things sound interesting to you, no experience required. So feel free to reach out to any one of us on the board. You can reach us through the Facebook group is easy, or through the newsletters that you're getting, you can reply.
Let me add, lest this sound too daunting, we have a Google Drive that has many years worth of board meeting agendas, minutes, how-to guides for how to plan the tailgate, how to plan the welcome aboard picnic, what to do with the Dark Ages packages. It really is, there's a lot of, you can just click on the documents and you kind of get the guidance you need. And it is very cyclical. So, it just repeats year after year. I see the Brocks there. I know you guys have some prior experience and I see those hands. Tony's hand just went up. So
great. There's also a question as to whether membership is open to foundation kids. And yes, we have a special deal for our NAPS families, foundation families. You can join now and get 5 years for the price of 4. So yes. Now, I will say most of our events are geared to, going to football games at the academy and stuff, but you can join the club, no extra cost, and sort of get your foot in the door and meet other people. So yes.
There's a question here about getting on the yard with a military ID. You can park on the yard. There's actually just finished about a year ago, a parking garage that's near Alumni Hall, and you can park other places on the yard that are, as long as they're not marked reserved or something like that. So we've generally not found parking to be an issue, except on, it would be on something like I-Day or something like that, but on kind of average weekends or whatever, parking is fairly easy. And I'd advise doing it because the parking in Annapolis is kind of expensive. So.
Yeah, but for those who don't have military IDs, like we didn't have military IDs, you can get a parent pass. Now, whether they'll be issuing those this year, that hasn't been addressed. But that's something you could do at the visitors center, where you go in, you go through security. It's a desk right there, and they can help you get a yard card. It's available for mid parents only. It's issued on a 2-year basis. And then, you get it renewed after your child's been there for 2 years.
Definitely worth doing, being so close. You avoid the metal detectors and all that. You can get in more quickly, and it's just a lot easier.
I posted another source of information is Academy Insider with Grant Vermeer. He has a blog. He's a graduate of the Academy. He has a lot of good information out there. And I also put on there my cell phone number. If anybody has any questions, you feel free to text me. I don't mind answering.
Is his blog back up? Because it was down.
I have no idea if it's up or not. I just have found him useful for some information.
I see a question from Sarah Parker about USAA benefits. I think Paul and Keith have both dropped off, but if not, speak up. I looked into this because I know USAA offers some incredible benefits. Now, this has been a while since I did this, but I found that as a parent of a midshipman, I was not able to have a full-fledged USAA membership. That may have changed. I'm not sure.
And thank you, Susan, for just posting the vehicle access information, which is on the permit to report packet. And there's a link that Susan Brock posted there on the chat function.
But you can get on if you have a military ID. You just show it at the gate and they'll let you on.
For that permit to report, since we're close, can we go right after they check in or take their oath and take care of that paperwork before or as soon as we can?
Yes.
In the past, you've been able to do that. And frankly, there may be an advantage this year because in the past I-Day, there was everybody there and they were just overrun with people, but it's going to be more staggered now. So you might find it an easier process.
Did you mean for the parking or driving on the yard?
I think it was the parent permit, the parent pass rather. There is no separate parking permit. It's just you get onto the yard, the person driving the vehicle has to have the valid ID, and then that vehicle is allowed on, and you can just park.
And one ID works for up to 5 people. So just like Mark said, the driver, and then I guess 4 others.
Are there any other questions, comments, words of wisdom? Well, let me just remind everybody again of July 18, where we can have a real social event, not a virtual one. July 18, 4 to 6:30 at Algonquian Park. Go to the website and look for Facebook postings and so on for more information about that. But we look forward to seeing everybody live. And at that point, you'll be a couple weeks into Plebe Summer, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about.
Great. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll sign off. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you guys for hosting.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Everybody have a great day.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.